My name is Jeff Oviatt. I'm with the Lake County League of Women Voters. And we run these forums to inform you about the candidates. None of us in the league who are working here tonight live in this community, the timers or the leader like myself and helpers and so on. So we believe in education, we believe in information that people should get as they make their democratic decisions. And we'd also like to see civil conversation, what I call Midwestern nice. So we can discuss issues, but not get overly emotional about them and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the trustees first. They're going to give a 3-minute statement. They are unopposed, so there will not be a rebuttal. Now, then we will go to the school board. And we have 9 people. And so they've drawn cards for the order that they will speak. So the way it works is everybody gets a 3-minute speech, and then after that, everybody gets a 2-minute rebuttal, and then we will go to questions. And try to keep your questions brief and to the point. We're going to have some boxes coming around where you put those in there. They're actually back there on the table. Some of you have probably already done that as you were coming in. Okay, so if the school board candidates could come and sit in those seats in the back there, and actually the ones along here. So 3 minutes, and we have timers here today. They will give a warning at 30 seconds. We'll hold on to 30 seconds. And then they will give a stop. And we have I'd like to thank our timers, Mary Ellen Fester and Ellen Cantor. If you are candidates, if you are in the middle of a sentence when they hold up the stop, you may finish your thoughts. We just don't want another paragraph though. So you can do that. All right. Okay, so we're going to get started with a 3-minute statement for the trustees, and we are going to let Amy go first.
Good evening, and thank you for welcoming me here tonight. My name is Amy Lucci, and since 2019, I've had the honor of serving as your Concord Township trustee. I am humbly asking for your vote for re-election because I love this community, and I believe in the future we are building together. I've called Concord my home for over 22 years. As a nurse for more than 3 decades, I know that trust and service are not just words, they're a way of life. As a nurse leader, I am trusted to make decisions that impact people's lives. That same sense of responsibility and diligence is what I bring to the role of trustee. Leadership has been a common thread of my career. As a nurse leader, as a township trustee, and now on the board of directors for the Ohio Township Association, I've worked to make sure Concord has a strong voice at both the local and state level. That matters because our community deserves a seat at the table when decisions are being made that affect our residents, young and old, today and tomorrow. Together we have made progress. We have built a new fire station and are planning for another because our calls for service increase every year and we must be ready. We continue to support our law enforcement to keep our neighborhoods safe, especially in these uncertain times. We are updating our comprehensive plan with resident input front and center to ensure that Concord grows in a way that preserves our quality of life. We've invested in recreation and green space, and we're committed to keeping our roads safe and clear, even in the toughest Ohio winters. And we've done all of this with transparent, responsible budgeting, because every dollar we spend is your dollar. And fiscal responsibility is a trust I take very seriously. But the work is not finished. I am committed to making sure Concord remains not just a good community, but one of the best, where our children can thrive, our seniors are valued, and every resident has a voice. I believe in limited government oversight because I believe in Concord's ability to decide what is best for Concord. So tonight, I ask for your vote. With your support, I will continue to listen, to serve, to make thoughtful decisions that move our township forward. Together, we can ensure that Concord remains the best of the best, safe, strong, and thriving for generations to come. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carl Dondorfer, one of the other Concord Township trustees, and thank you all for being here and taking an active role in getting to know your public officials. It has been an honor to serve my community as a Concord Township trustee since April of 2019. I've always had a strong passion for public service. Prior to being appointed and then elected as a trustee, I served not only the Concord Township community, but also Lake County as a deputy sheriff with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Upon my retirement from the Sheriff's Office in 2018, I wanted to pursue other avenues of public service and was honored when selected to the appointment of trustee. Making a difference and giving back to the community has always been very important to me. Over the past 6 years as a trustee in Concord Township, I've learned a lot on what it takes to be a good community leader. Early in my tenure as a trustee, I completed the Leadership Academy over a year with the Ohio Township Association to better acquaint myself with the obligations, duties, and responsibility of a township governance. The experience I've gained through the various matters, situations, and challenges has helped me become a seasoned, honest, transparent, and accessible public servant. I am proud of our board and the accomplishments we have made together to better the Concord Township community. We have worked extremely hard to shore up the safety services of the township. Over the past several years, we have added to our law enforcement services provided by the Sheriff's Office, added additional firefighter staffing, built a new fire station, and are in the planning stages of the completion of new Station 2 for our fire department. We have taken advantage of and sought out additional funding mechanisms to support and improve the Concord Township infrastructure in an effort to reduce the burden to taxpayers. We continue to balance the growth and development of Concord to ensure it complements our current community. New residential growth, industry, and new businesses looking to open in Concord will provide new and exciting amenities to our residents and those that visit the Concord Township community. We recently began efforts on a new comprehensive development plan for Concord. We have involved community residents and are excited for the future plans of this wonderful community, and residents can participate and get involved by completing the online survey on our website or the e-grapevine, which will be coming out tomorrow. As an unopposed candidate with fellow trustee Amy Lucci, we pride ourselves on responsible public service. Our leadership revolves around honesty, accessibility, transparency, and being responsible stewards of the township's finances. I look forward to continuing my rewarding service to the residents of Concord Township. Thank you for your support.
First question is, do you believe that land that is presently available to be bought and used for affordable housing units, do you believe that there is land, I should say? So about affordable housing, would you like to go first?
So we hear that all the time. There is no plan for any kind of affordable housing. You know, there are areas where there is, but there are no plans currently for that. And a lot of people are worried that we're going to have Section 8 homes and, you know, what are we going to do with this land? There is no plans for that.
This is kind of related. What are you going to do to stop building on every available area?
That's a great question, and I get a lot of that. I really didn't understand property ownership until I got into township governance, but Any property owner that has legal rights to a property has the ability to develop that property as long as it meets the current zoning text. So if there's vacant property and it's zoned R1 or residential, I think that property owner can either develop it themselves or sell it to a developer, and we try to balance that development and make sure it complements the community. There's been several times that we have denied certain plans that we didn't think complemented the area, but property owners do have the right to develop as long as it meets the zoning law.
This one says, thank you for all you do for Concord Township. That's nice. Can you provide an update on fire station number 2? Who'd like to do that?
I wanted to add to the last question. A lot of the developments that you see that are new, those were purchased a long time ago, like back in 1985. You know, a lot of people think that they had these beautiful homes and then all of a sudden buyer came in, a developer came in and just torched their backyard. But those plans were in place way before we became trustee. I was actually in high school when some of those plans came out. Okay, so to answer the question about... Thank you. Fire Station 2. So we do have plans, architectural plans for Fire Station 2, which we've had for a while. We are looking for funding mechanisms to help us build that station. One of those is actually money from the federal government that we're hoping for, but until we know that those plans come to fruition, we're looking at finances, looking at how things are panning out for the rest of the year, and hopefully we'll have the necessary resources to get that going soon.
Yeah, just to expound on that a little more, I'm proud of our board and the township and our administrator. We went to Washington, D.C., met with Congressman Joyce and his staff, and lobbied for funding for Station 2. We were earmarked for $2 million, one of only several government entities in the state under the current agricultural bill, which has passed the House and is now before the Senate. So we're very confident and hopeful that we'll get that funding to put towards Station 2, and then we will finance the rest of that. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to arrange the school board members, their name tags, which you can take home at the end of the night as a nice souvenir. Candidate tag. tonight is going to be Belinda Laddick-Grassi.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be here. My name is Belinda Laddick-Grassi. I am humbled and so proud to have been a member of the Riverside Board of Education since the year of 2010. So for the last 16 years, I've been a member of the Board of Education, proudly serving this community. Just a little bit about me. I am a certified public accountant, a two-time graduate of John Carroll University. I hold a licensed school treasurer license from the Ohio Department of Education, which I know we don't call it that anymore, but that is where I got my license the last time I got my license. I still hold that license. Part of my CPA credentials is a requirement to have continuing education in ethics every single year, and so I do that, and I take pride in that. Part of what I believe in as an individual is honesty and integrity. And I hope that I bring that to this position every day that I serve. Some of the things that I would like to bring to the Board of Education and bring back to the Board of Education in my next couple of terms. I would like to have more communication with our taxpayers, with our students, with our parents. Our parents are valued parents who have valuable insight into what they would like to see for our school district. I would like to bring community input into our school district. I would like to have community input from our staff, both our classified and our certified staff. They bring, again, also valuable insights to what goes on in their classrooms. I feel that that is important. To be able to hear what they have to say face to face through no intermediaries, but just ourselves, having conversations with the people that put their time into the students of our district. I would like to increase the commitment that we have as a board to each other, to our community, to the residents, and to our administration. I feel that's lacking. We have lost sight, I think, of what is important in public service. And I would like to be able to say that we respect one another. We respect one another enough to be able to come to board meetings prepared with information that has been shared with us in advance. I believe that is important. I would like to define and maintain excellence in fiscal stewardship. And lastly, I believe as a school district, being the largest proponent or collector of tax revenues and property tax, that I would like to be an advocate for what happens in that arena coming up in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Dennis Keeney.
I would like to thank everyone for their interest and attendance tonight, and to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Dennis Keeney, a lifelong resident of Lake County and 38-year resident of this district. I am married with 4 grown children and graduated of Willoughby South High, Lakeland Community College, and the Ohio State University. I held 2 professional licenses for over 20 years as a landscape architect and as a commercial real estate appraiser. I served for 15 years on the Leroy Township Zoning Commission. I'm a Vietnam War veteran and currently serve as Vice President of the school board. My position on this board was not acquired in the usual way, but by an appointment that required the involvement of a probate court judge. The decision was based on my career qualifications that added to the existing board members' well-rounded skills and experiences. Those career experiences have been put to the use in the past 14 months that I've been on the board. First, a new career technical education addition was about to enter the design process. A state grant of $2.5 million plus a board-approved additional $1.5 million was allocated for this project. I worked closely with the administration, architect, our owner's representative, and others to work within the budget we had to finally agree on a plan to move forward with construction. Construction is now well along the way, on time and within budget. Next came the design of a new 8-classroom addition at Riverview Elementary School. This addition was necessary to right-size the school because it wasn't allowed to be built as large as planned due to the state limitations. Currently, we're working with the administration on design for a Buckeye Elementary addition of 8 classrooms and a gymnasium. Those plans will be finished next week. Throughout this process, my goal has been to achieve the best value for the district, keeping an eye on the design process, avoiding scope creep, and keeping in regular contact with general construction contractor and any issues that may arise, address them promptly and before things get out of hand. Early this year, the Health Optimization Committee was formed, which I chaired, to look for alternatives to our current coverage. The administration, myself, and the volunteered expertise of District President Bill Robertson have put into place a plan transitioning from our previous carrier to a new provider the first of the year. This will result in over $1 million of savings for the previous plan that would not have been realized without this effort. I have more, but thank you.
Joseph Ardino.
Hi, thank you. Thank you to the Lake County League of Women's Voters. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity today. It certainly is an honor to be in front of all of you. My background is I have a Bachelor's of Arts from Youngstown State University. I was pursuing an education role and transitioned into business. For the last 16 years, I've worked for a multinational retailer. I'm responsible for 22 locations, of which has an annual budget of $800 million a year. And in doing so, it has certainly taught me a lot about fiscal responsibility and working within a budget. In my day job, I don't have the opportunity or the luxury of spending outside of those limits. But I want to add that I get often asked throughout this campaign, what party do you belong to? I get asked that all the time. And while I don't hide the party I belong to, I've been a lifelong Republican from the day that I could register to vote. But I'm not running as a Republican, I am running as a dad. And I know that almost sounds cliche, but I really am. I have 3 daughters, all of whom are in the Riverside School District, grades 1st through 7th. And it is our responsibility as parents to do what is best for our children, and sometimes that includes stepping up to the plate and running for office. I have not sought any endorsements from any parties. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that has not been my preference because I don't see the relevance in a school board race. Again, I'm running as a dad. If I was running for Congress, maybe I'd call some of you. No, I'm just kidding. But with that being said, I'm trying to achieve 3 things running for school board and to be on the board. In no particular order. Listen to the staff and faculty of the school district. Do they have all the answers? No, neither do I. However, they are the main faculty of the building. And if the teachers are disengaged, then the students will be disengaged. So it is highly appropriate for us to engage with them often as we can. Second is to support our students and families. Academic success is deeply rooted in emotional support, educational support, financial support, and I think as a school board we need to advocate on their behalf as often as we can. And then the third piece is fiscal responsibility. Again, that almost sounds cliche. Everybody likes to say fiscal responsibility. But at the end of the day, we all only have so much in our checkbook, right? When we write a check and it bounces, it's because we don't have enough funds in it. School is no different, frankly. And it's up to us to make sure that we're making long-term decisions, looking outward, meaning we can't just live in the moment today. We have to be making decisions that, knowing that it's going to impact us 5, 10, 20, even 30 years down the road. And me being on the board, I promise you that all of my decisions in voting will be with a collaborative effort with all stakeholders, people who have students, people who don't have students, everybody in the community, and with financial proofs. Thank you.
Katie Tomko.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see a large crowd here tonight. My name is Katie Tomko, and I'm running for the Riverside Local School Board. My family and extended family are deeply rooted in public education. My grandmother was a teacher at Buckeye Elementary, and my grandfather housed a kindergarten class in his church before kindergarten was integrated into public schools. He also served as a Riverside School Board member. My husband and I have dedicated many hours to community programs such as Concord Youth Baseball, Riverside Travel Basketball, Concord Girls Softball, Cobra Softball, and I currently serve as a treasurer for the Courtside Club, which is the varsity girls basketball booster organization. I've worked in educational settings for the past 23 years, dedicating my career to putting students first. I've worked tirelessly to advocate for high expectations for all of our learners and to ensure access to a graduation pathway that leads to a viable outcome for all students. I have participated on Ohio Department of Education work groups advocating for our students and families while also communicating the challenges educators face every day. I believe that strong public schools are essential to a strong community, a successful workforce, and a thriving economy. And our school board has a crucial responsibility to ensure every student has the opportunity to thrive. My commitment to this district isn't just about policy, it's personal. As a parent and educator of 3 children, 2 of whom are still in school at the Riverside campus, as well as being a multi-generational Riverside graduate myself, I've seen firsthand the dedication of our teachers, administrators, and the potential of our students. I've also recognized areas where we can do better, and that's why I'm running for a seat on the school board. As a board member, I will focus on fiscal responsibility, meeting the needs of all students, and facilities planning aligned with district goals and community voice. As a board member, fiscal responsibility not only includes short and long-term financial stability, but also ensuring the money spent reflects the community's desires, student needs, and district needs. I am a firm believer that school boards' financial decisions should be transparent, responsible, and directly tied to student outcomes. This means understanding every expenditure serves a clear educational purpose and aligns with the strategic goals of the district. The district and the board will need to develop a long-term facilities plan to address aging buildings on the campus. This facilities plan must take into consideration the cycle of levy renewals, operating levies, and bond issues. My professional background in education has equipped me with a unique set of skills that I believe will be invaluable to the board. I am an analytical problem solver, a collaborative team player, and strong communicator. I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions, and I'm committed to making informed decisions based on data and community input, not just ideology. I support
Scott Fischel.
Was that 6?
Yeah.
So they were 5.
Did somebody pick 5?
No, 5. Chris is next. Chris said I would get the on last. Oh, okay. Okay. So you had 6.
Hello, and thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for inviting me. And thank you for your interest in the Riverside Local School District. I'm here tonight asking you for your vote. My name is Scott Fischel. I'm married to my lovely wife, Kathy, and we have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. I have lived in Concord for 36 years. 3 of our children graduated from Riverside, and 2 of our grandchildren currently attend Riverside, and 1 graduated last year. I've been in business for 47 years and have another business that is 30 years and a third business for 25 years. In that third business, I'm a patent holder of 2 patents. Those patents relate to wood treatment and protection. I bring construction knowledge, business knowledge, financial and innovation knowledge to the table. I'm endorsed by Lake County Sheriff Liam Bruno, Chief Deputy Bob Izzo, County Treasurer Mike Zurin, County Prosecutor Chuck Polson, County Recorder Becky Lynch, and others. I was elected 4 years ago, and after being seated for a few months, Sheriff Liam Bruno invited me to meet with him and Chief Deputy Bob Izzo. We discussed working together to place sheriff's deputies, SROs, safety resource officers, in each of the Riverside schools. We collaborated and created a plan to make that happen. I then brought that to the board table and got that voted in. I am thankful we did that because last year Deputy Ward, who was at Riverview Elementary, overpowered and disarmed a shooter in the parking lot and saved people from getting shot and killed. I have worked with and am currently working with board members to cut over $1 million of district expenses and to cut costs and save up to $6 million on our bus fleet. We have over 50 buses in our fleet, and by bringing to the board a plan that was proven by the Canadian military over a 5-year study utilizing a state-of-the-art undercoating product called Crown. It's been just over 1 year since Mr. Keeney joined the board by being appointed by Judge Bartolotta. In that time, I have collaborated with Mr. Keeney and other board members to approve and begin executing $22 million of building projects without going to the taxpayers for a single dollar. These projects are being paid for 100% out of the Permanent Improvement Fund, without a single dollar being used out of the general fund. The general fund is where all salaries, benefits, and district expenses are paid. We are paying cash for the Riverview addition and cash along with the state grant for the Riverside CTE Career Technical Education Wing. I'm proud to say that our treasurer, Dr. Steve Thompson, has reported in our last 2 board meetings that the Riverside Local School District is in a strong cash position and that we have a rating of AA3 from Moody's. He also stated that we are doing exactly what Moody's recommends by borrowing the money to execute the Buckeye and Melridge projects. Those projects, thank you.
Josh Pollock.
Good evening, and thank you everyone for coming tonight. Josh Pollock, and I'm running for Riverside School Board. I'm excited to work hard in bringing educational excellence and opportunities back to the students at the Riverside School District. I've been in medical sales for 24 years in various roles representing various medical products, and in the last 13 years have been a small business owner as a distributor for one of the companies that I was a manufacturer's rep. I am a concerned Riverside parent who wants common sense. My wife Kristen and I chose Painesville Township 20 years ago because the educational excellence that Riverside School District demonstrated and was one of the top districts in the state of Ohio. By the time my 2 daughters entered the school district, Riverside had fallen far and fast from the top. Shortly after that, Common Core was introduced to our district without any explanation about intended goals of Common Core. And that's when foundational subjects to learning were no longer being taught. Kristen and I one time went to an informal informational Common Core session hosted by English and Math department faculty members, and they couldn't explain how Common Core was going to work. As a matter of fact, my wife sat on the other side of the room because she knew I was going to be pressing for real answers and I couldn't get any. So that's when I started attending school board meetings. Not very frequently, but that was before it became a thing. And in one of the meetings I attended, they spent 20 minutes praising a spelling bee. Meanwhile, they had stopped offering spelling to my kids in the school district. They were very young. And Common Core brought the focus on testing rather than teaching and learning. So we removed our kids from the MAP testing because the students were tested in the spring, and all the results for those tests were provided the following fall. Therefore, moving all the students, whether they were prepared to go to the next grade or not, they just moved them on to the next grade. So, my kids, they loved Riverside. They were very involved. I want to make sure that all students can have that experience. If elected, I want to help create a curriculum that gets back to the basics of foundational learning. All students within the Riverside School District deserve the same opportunity that everyone in this room was afforded in American education. I believe school should be about academics and learning and not about any political agenda. I witnessed my girls having to navigate through classes and classmates that were indoctrinated by these very programs like CRT and SEL. I will use common sense in my decisions, say no to CRT and DEI programs, and promise not to support any new taxes. I'm committed to keeping our schools safe,
accountable, and high-performing, empowering parents and advocating for students first. Vote Josh Powell for Riverside School Board.
Jamie Byers.
First, I want to thank everyone for coming out for such an important race. My name is Jimmy Lee Byers. I'm running for Riverside Board of Education. With 3 seats available and a handful of strong candidates, the question I get asked the most is why should I vote for you? So I'm here to share that with you now. We purchased our home in Concord 2 years ago. We've been a part of the Riverside community since 2012. I've been around long enough to remember when the district was struggling financially and students, specialist classes were reduced, busing was reduced, and students self-funded through pay-to-play. Sports were self-funded through pay-to-play. Many hard decisions were made, and students and staff had to sacrifice a lot. I watched as the district rebounded and worked tirelessly to bring back what was lost. They've established good working relationships between the board, administrators, and teachers. And we're working towards the common goals in the 3-phase facilities plan. I've also watched as some members of the current board have drastically changed that momentum. They've spent money in the ways the community didn't agree with and planned projects the community didn't want. So although I've been around to see all those changes, I'm just beginning my journey with Riverside. My oldest daughter starts school next year. And knowing that I'm working towards a bright future for her, her little sister, and all other students is my biggest motivation. I know what Riverside is, what it has been, and what it can be. I know that fiscal responsibility and truly hearing the community are 2 big steps we need to take to move forward. One way I hope to do that is through holding town hall style meetings throughout the district. I want to really dig in and meet people and hear their concerns and ideas. It would be my job to represent the people, and I don't feel that can be done adequately without immersing myself in the community and engaging with people from every corner of the district. Riverside is a large district and needs someone willing to embrace all residents and families. Another way I plan to make improvements is through taking immediate action regarding finances. Because of large expenditures recently, we need to be creative to stay financially stable while maintaining facilities and services. We will need to restore a collaborative relationship with community. My experience as an auditor and a tax analyst and my conservative approach to personal finances make me a perfect candidate for the school board. I know from coaching for over 5 years that it's impossible to please everybody. I am committed to following my moral compass and doing what is right and benefits the most parties involved, without being influenced by money, power, politics, political parties, or favoritism. I am level-headed, analytical, and have a strong sense of self that will guide me through the challenges ahead. On November 4th, please vote for Myers.
Okay, for the 2-minute rebuttals, we'll follow the same order. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I almost forgot Christian.
Good evening and thank you for your attendance. My name is Christian Weiss and I'm running for Riverside School Board for the 2nd time. Last election I earned approximately 2,400 votes. I wish to thank everyone who supported me then, and I ask for your support in this election as well. Riverside School District is a very sophisticated and complex enterprise. Its mission is to provide K-12 education to the students of our community such that they can succeed as young adults, to matriculate to colleges and universities, trade schools, the military, and otherwise enter the job market and become contributing citizens. Riverside School District has a budget in excess of $50 million annually and delivers its mission through hundreds of administrators, faculty, teachers, and support staff to thousands of students and ultimately over 10,000 district residents and taxpayers. This is a very serious mission directed by 5 elected board members. It's not a job for a person who is merely and only a concerned citizen, parent, or former educator. Unfortunately, there's no formal training to become qualified to run for this office. If one wanted to be a judge, you'd have to be a lawyer first. To a coroner, a doctor, a county engineer, a professional engineer, and a surveyor. I submit that an informed voter has to focus on two primary indicators when choosing a school board candidate to vote for. One is demonstrated ability, and the other is what I'll call skin in the game. I believe as it regards both, I can demonstrate that I'm a strong choice, stronger than the rest in this field of candidates. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, graduate of the U.S. Army Ranger School, which is the most demanding leadership course in the United States military. I earned an engineering degree from Ohio State, spent the next 32 years working in international business and industry, managing multidisciplinary teams responsible for delivering between $100 million and $3.7 billion of completed work. I've also started and scaled several small local businesses in the community. Companies like Lincoln Electric Company, the Belka Corporation, the Morton Salt Corporation, Deck Smith, and Weiss Construction. As to skin in the game, my grandparents moved to Concord, purchasing a 1,500-acre farm in 1930. My father was in the first graduating class at Riverside in 1952. I graduated Riverside in 83. My son's graduating in 2024, 25, and my youngest is in the class of 29. No less than 30 members of my ex-wife's family are RHS graduates. I presently live in Leroy Township, and the property taxes I'm paying exceed $12,000 a year. I've served for 3 years on the RHS Alumni Board, and I'm currently Vice President. I've parented 2 of my sons to become AP Scholars with distinction, 2-year National Honor Society, Scholar Athletes, Varsity Letterman, Captain of the Wrestling Team, Conference Champion, as well as Eagle Scouts and Infantrymen who enlisted in the U.S. Army at the age of 17, and are both nominees to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. I believe that I have the commitment to this district and school, as well as lifetime demonstrated experience to be a board member. Thank you.
Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to do the same order for the rebuttals. So we're going to start with Brenda Grassley.
Okay, Belinda Grassi. Just got that straight. My sister is Brenda. I get it all the time. Okay. So I just wanted to make a couple of comments. So in response to Mr. Pollack, who spoke about equity and DEI, the school district is responsible for teaching all students, and we teach them where they are. And we provide interventions for people who have learning deficits, disabilities, and have special needs. We also provide gifted education, which I think needs a little bit of work, but we do provide it. We are providing education for all abilities. That is equity, folks. I'm not exactly sure what people don't understand. As far as no new taxes, we are levy imminent, and if you watch our last board meeting, our school treasurer also does say that numerous times within both funds of our general fund and our PI fund. I believe that we should be talking about property taxes, and I think we should talk about how we manage that and how we advocate for changes to that. I do believe we should do that. There are other ways that we can raise dollars, but revenue is fixed and expenses increase, and we have to have that conversation. I would like to address Mr. Keeney and Mr. Fischel, who have taken responsibility for $1 million in insurance savings when our district was already undertaking that responsibility for themselves over the past year and a half. I would like to agree with Ms. Tomko about our facility plan. We did have a facility plan. It was a good one, and we ignored it. I would like to eliminate outside consultants who do the work of people that are perfectly capable that we already have. That's nothing else.
Dennis Keeney.
So our number one reason for being here is for the students. That they, starting from pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, through elementary school, junior high, and high school. When they get out of high school, hopefully, they'll have learned enough to operate in society. That they'll be able to balance a checkbook. They'll be able to properly write a letter. They'll be able to work with their hands with some kind of a project, whether they utilize that in their career or just to, fix something around the house. We want to focus our education on kids to be successful in their own lives and add value to the community later. With this job, I know we're going through a lot of construction things now that need to be done in order to complete that task of educating the children. It's unbelievable the amount of time that I've put into this. You really don't have to do anything as a school board member except show up at a meeting and vote. But believe me, I put in a heck of a lot more time than I ever thought I would. But I'm satisfied with that time. And I like doing it because I'm looking at a better result in the end. So I appreciate your concern here and appreciate your vote coming November. Thank you.
Joseph Audino.
One thing I wanted to mention was 2 summers ago, so June of 2024, there was a resignation on the school board, someone who had about 18 months left in their term. And the board, because it wasn't an election time, was allowed to open it up for applications and then do interviews. And I just wanted to share with you that I wasn't privy to the total number, but I believe there were about 40-some applicants. And then eventually it was trickled down to 20, and then I think 5, and then eventually down to 2 applicants. And while Mr. Keeney was ultimately picked, and I applaud him for that, those 2 applicants were he and I. Just wanted to share that with you. So Mr. Bartolotta interviewed the 2 of us. And I believe the reason why it got down to the 2 of us was because of my business background and also the willingness that I showcased in the interviews that I did with the school board, of which I did 2 interviews. I showcased to them my willingness to chat with all of them and collaborate with all of them. I'm not a fan of 3 against 2, and I'm not a fan of 2 against 3. All 5 of us, while I don't expect every vote to be 5 zip, there should be more collaboration and more of an effort. So this is a friendly warning to what might be my fellow board members. We are all going to be friends in some way, shape, or form because the students deserve such. We also have to set the ultimate example for them. One last thing I want to point out is I understand when we talk about DEI, when it comes to corporate hiring strategies, or hiring strategies in general, I can see some of the concerns that have come with programs like DEI. I don't understand how it's concerning at the school level. It's a whole different thing. We're talking about diverse students. When we say no DEI, are we saying, let's just call it like it is, are we saying no minorities in the school? Or when we say no equity, are we saying no inclusion? I don't understand what we're saying. I would love a definition from someone else who's going to give a rebuttal today, what they mean by no DEI in the schools. Thank you.
Katie Chapko.
So although I appreciate the expertise of all the candidates in regards to their finances and their business experiences, and certainly there's a place for that on a board, I also believe it's imperative that we have a well-rounded board who brings different opportunities and experiences and knowledge and education to ensure that we don't forget about our students while we're arguing about buildings and finances. And so my experience, my dedication, my history, all vouch for the fact that that is my #1 priority. I don't waver from that. I will ensure that our students are getting what they need in the midst of all the chaos that is ensuing. I will also make sure that we are educating our parents in our community about things that are happening in the school so there isn't misinformation or buzzwords aren't misconstrued to be something that they're not, because I do think that is a major concern happening right now in our community. I also understand the importance of systems, and I'm going to finish my speech, and believe that when those systems support evidence-based instructional strategies, high-leverage practices, and a student-first mentality, student achievement and wellness are impacted positively. I understand the importance of addressing the whole child because not every student walks through the door ready to learn. I truly believe that with a collaborative and a collective effort, we can offer an excellent education to all of our students in the district. I'm not running to represent a specific group or a single issue. I'm not aligned to an agenda or to any candidates. I'm running to represent all of our students and all of our families. I refuse to sacrifice my integrity for backroom deals, financial gain, or self-serving interests. I want our Board of Education to represent integrity, honesty, transparency, responsibility, innovation, and excellence.
Scott Fischel.
Okay, we have a lot more work to do at Riverside. Okay, and I look forward to the opportunity to do that work. Like Mr. Keeney said, when I got on the board, I really did not realize how much time and effort would be needed to take care of what needs to be done. Part of the reason is the school district's buildings were neglected for the last 20 years. Almost nothing was done to repair them, upgrade them, or renovate them. Right now, we're starting to take care of that problem, but it's a much bigger problem than anyone can realize. We have to make sure every dollar is spent as effectively and efficiently as possible, and we're doing that right now. We also have to look ahead to see what the needs are going to be. We have a 1,500 home development, well, there's actually 3 developments, but the casement is 1,358 homes, and then you have Greyhawk Landing and Harbor Crossing, and all of those students go into Riverview. Okay, so if anyone's wondering, that's why the 8 classroom addition is going up at Riverview, because all the elementary students from those 1,500 homes are going through that school. Additionally, that school was what you call -3 classrooms. What that means is they didn't have 3 classrooms that they needed. They had to take the art and music room away to make it into a regular classroom. They had to take special education classrooms away to make those into regular classrooms. Okay, so that's -3. We're building 8. We're going to be +5. And as we look forward to the future, there may be other things that we have to do in the district, but that's a good start. Over at Buckeye, kids were in trailers for 20 years. Are you kidding me? You had brand new Riverview, brand new Parkside, you had kids in trailers at Buckeye. Well, they're gone now, okay? And when we took them down, what did we find? Mold in the walls. So not only were they in trailers for 20 years, it wasn't healthy, and I will share with you, those walls are very thin, and they wouldn't stop a bullet. They weren't safe. They're gone now.
Jimmy Lee Byers.
I hear a lot of people saying things about kids first. First, my concern with the way we are spending money irresponsibly, the kids are going to suffer. The last time we were in financial crisis, elementary kids got 9 gym classes a year, 9 art classes a year. Busing was reduced. All of these things led to kids suffering. We are currently levy imminent. If that levy does not pass, we can expect things that I've mentioned as well. Increased class sizes and more. Being kids first starts with having a district that is financially sound. What about you?
Josh Pollock.
Yeah, when I say no new taxes, that means we're not going to ask the taxpayers for another levy that we can't afford as a community. And when you put up a almost $200 million 37-year mill tax levy, it was overwhelmingly 76% denied. No, we don't want to, because it's unaffordable. So when I say no new taxes, it's about introducing new buildings and renovating existing buildings by asking the taxpayer for more money. I don't want to do that. I will not do that. In terms of talking about levies that are going to happen and they're unavoidable is, yeah, every school district in Ohio is in an operating levy cycle, and we can't control that. It's just a cycle that is going to happen. So in terms of that, no new taxes. That's about all I've got.
Christian Weiss.
So as I alluded to earlier, my primary wheelhouse is in the area of construction management. I've got experience in doing many of the projects that are already underway and projects that will need to come in the future. Where I disagree with some of the things that have been going on is the rush to bring these projects forth without really getting the buy-in of all board members, number one, and also having a full understanding of where the money's really going to come from. What Mr. Fischel hasn't said is that he's exhausted the permanent improvement fund for a significant amount of time, and he actually has taken money out of the general fund to put into these construction funds so that they can be certified for contracting. I have a very intimate understanding of the contract process as it pertains to construction, as to keeping the projects going, avoiding unnecessary delays and expenses, and keeping cost overruns down. That said, I'm also not a part of any faction. I'm running independently. I'm not accepting money from anyone for my campaign, and I'm not beholden to anyone. I'm also not pulling any dirty tricks. I'm not starting any super PACs and overfunding candidates, not only in this district, but others. I'm not driving out irreplaceable talent. That's another problem that we've had. This board has been fractured for a very long time. It's been polarized. People on the board that have gained control of that board are now doing things to prevent other members of the board who were duly elected from interacting and bringing their expertise to the table. I am not going to participate in that. I will do my utmost to work together with all the other board members should I be successful and win this election, no matter who they may be, even if it's Mr. Fischel or anyone else that's sitting up here tonight or is on the board not having to run again. I will do my utmost to work together for the productivity of the district and the students. Thank you.
Are there any more questions on this side?
Okay, now we're going to get into the questions which are coming up. And since it's a crowded field, we're going to limit the answers to 1 minute. And I'm going to come around front. And I think because it's so tight here, we'll pass the mic around. Test. Okay, so I will pick in here. And we'll also alternate who answers first on these. And not necessarily everybody has to answer every question, but if you want to. Okay. All right. For Scott Fischel, can you elaborate on how you have been fiscally responsible and saved the district money during your term?
Thank you. First thing is, we worked hard over the last year with the administration to cut over $1 million of spending. And that's the first thing. Second thing is, did a lot of research, did a lot of traveling, even out of the state, to go check on the product that I mentioned with the school buses called Crown. That's with a K, K-R-O-W-N. And that product is being used around the country. And the Canadian military did a 5-year study showing that for every dollar that was spent, a $6 return was given, And then when you extrapolate the bus life going from 12 years to 20 years, like other school districts are getting using that product, you end up with a $6 million savings when you have over 50 school buses. As far as the PI fund goes, our treasurer just did out a 5-year forecast, put out a 5-year forecast, and he showed the lowest year-end balance in those 5 years in that fund would be $400,000. We have money in the PI fund.
Question for Mr. Weiss. It says, do you have a criminal record?
We covered this last time I was here. I have 2 misdemeanor convictions. One of them was 22 years ago. One of them was back during COVID. I had a broken neck, went to the Dairy Queen, received an ice cream that was served to me upside down in a cup, and then trying to extract the ice cream cone from the cup, I wound up with the ice cream in my lap, and a cup in one hand and a cone in the other. I tossed the cup, an empty paper cup, through my window of my car into the drive-thru and got charged with attempted, I can't remember, assault for that. Pled that out. I've done my restitution for that. It wasn't my best moment. I apologize to the young woman who served me the ice cream. I think many of us have had bad experiences in a drive-thru. At the time I had a broken neck and was trying to fight through parenting my 3 children without having to use drugs for the pain. Thank you.
Jeff, see if anybody else.
Anybody else want to respond? Okay, this one I think any of you can respond.
I would like to respond to that. And I don't even need a microphone. I would like to apologize to Mr. Weiss for that question. Whoever decided to ask that, he's asked that and answered that question numerous times. Mr. Weiss and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I'm sorry.
Enough.
Okay. How do you see the school board's role in protecting both religious freedom and neutrality of public education? And I'm going to give this to Ms. Meady.
All right. Well, currently there is a state law that allows religious freedom in schools. So this isn't really an opinion question because we have to follow the law. So with that being said, we have to do what we have to do, whether I agree with it personally or not. When legislation passes, schools are responsible for following the legislation that's passed down. We would do it in a way that hopefully would just not disrupt education as much as possible. Again, that's not something that we necessarily would have control over as a board.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to come down to the laws that we have to follow, and as long as it's not interfering with the kids' ability to learn. And I think that I'm a Christian. I know I'm a Christian. I'm a confirmed Catholic, and I don't think anybody should be persecuted for any of their beliefs, whether you believe in God or not. But that's not really what we should be doing as a school board unless there's restrictions placed by the state of Ohio.
So what I would say is our job, my job and our job as school board members is to take the state laws and operate by them, okay? It's just that simple. We don't have a say in it, we follow the law, okay? And our goal, my goal anyway, is to offer each and every student the best educational opportunity possible, okay? That's our job. And I take that seriously. And I think we have work to do, and I intend to do that work.
Check, check. I'm going to have to stand up, Abby, can't see me. Yeah, really, I don't want to repeat everything that everyone else has said, but we understand that it's basically the law, right? But at the end of the day, I think that students have a right to exercise their freedom of religion, freedom of spirit, freedom of speech, as long as they're not infringing on someone else's right. But a school board's, the reason why a school board exists is to do two things: make policy and enforce policy that is greater than the school board, be that the state or county or what have you. And I think that's about the gist of it.
I'm an advocate for following the law. I think that regardless of what someone's religious convictions are, they should be free to express themselves. It's in our Constitution. It's what we were founded upon: tolerance of other people, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So I would never do anything to abridge the rights of a person to exercise their constitutionally protected rights or any other rights given them to them as a matter of law. And I would, again, it's the school district is a community. We all have to get together. We all have different views. We go to different churches or temples or whatever, and we have to learn how to live together. And we haven't been doing that enough of that in this country, unfortunately. Thank you.
Not sure how to follow all that up. Again, like everyone else mentioned, this is the law, and everyone's afforded the right to be protected by that law. And I don't think it's my job to tell anyone that they can or cannot attend what they're legally allowed to attend. That's all it is.
Well, the law recently stated that we have to release children for a minimal period during the week to attend religious services or religious instruction, whatever that may be. I just realized that by watching our curriculum committee video the other day that a pilot program is being initiated with third graders at Buckeye Elementary School that's totally voluntary with parents' permission, that they will attend classes outside of the building because this cannot cost the district any money, cannot happen on district property, and there's something else there. But this is a pilot program that's going to be initiated. There's going to be bumps in the road, so to speak, but we are addressing that, and it will be offered to all students once things get ironed out.
So I'd just like to address the fact that I'm really, really proud of the way that our district is handling religious release instructional time. They are really cooperating with the entity that is coming in to do the program and the pilot program. I watched our curriculum meeting, and again, I'm just really proud of the collaboration that they have. We will follow the law, but to me, everything that everybody has said, all the way down the line, sounds to me like everybody is accepting diversity. So.
Okay. I've got two questions that are kind of similar, and we'll start down here at this end and work back that way. The treasurer recently said our district is in sound financial footing. Is a levy necessary to add on to Buckeye and Melridge? And the other question, didn't the treasurer say we are, quote, levy imminent, close quote? How can we promise no new taxes?
Well, there's only two ways that we can promise no new taxes, and that's either cut expenses or have a levy. We only have very few ways to raise dollars in a school district. When the state limits our dollars, we have to go back to the taxpayers. Now, from my own perspective, quite frankly, I would rather have my community tax my dollars and know that my money is going to a local group of individuals and administration to fund. Did you say stop? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Instead of taking that money and sending it down to the state where God only knows what will happen to it at that point. So levy imminent, I don't know. We can cut some dollars, we can do our best. Are we going to have to borrow to fund our facility improvements? I'm not sure yet. We really haven't had full conversations on what that would look like because we haven't had full transparency.
We will not have to,
The treasurer recently said our district is in solid financial footing. Is a levy necessary to add on to Buckeye and Bell Ridge? And then there was kind of another very similar question. Didn't the treasurer say we are, quote, levy imminent? How can we promise no new taxes?
okay, thank you. A levy will not be necessary to fund the additions to the buildings. We currently have a continuous permanent improvement fund levy that brings in about $2.7 million every year. And with that income from that levy fund is what is going to pay for our improvements and maintenance and things like that. The treasurer did say we are levy imminent. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen next week. You know, we are going to monitor our expenses over the next few years. Everything is fungible to see how things go, and we'll know as we go along where we stand.
The treasurer did in fact say that we were levy imminent not once, but at least twice. As far as I understand, I think Scott mentioned that the permanent improvement fund at most has $400,000 in it at any given year. So to say we can do improvements to both Buckeye and Melridge would put us in a very irresponsible position financially. That would mean a boiler room to go out, we would not be able to afford that. The current path that we are taking, even with the Buckeye COPS lease buyback, all very irresponsible moves.
One of the problems that we have at Riverside is because of the fraction of the school board and the faction that is in control of it now. They've gone and embarked upon a plan of spending flagrantly. After they directed Chris Rotino to go out to the public and find out what does the public want, they completely ignored that and went ahead with a major addition on Riverview School, which is not necessary, okay? George Davis happens to be my cousin. He's the guy developing Casement property. We don't have any business together, we're just family. But he has stated in numerous public forums that the nature of the homes that he is building is not going to bring the kind of impact that necessitates having put those additions onto Riverview. Money could have been and should have been spent elsewhere, such as Buckeye and Melridge, okay? We also lost some irreplaceable talent. Gary Platko left, largely over the fact he has been telling us that we're in an imminent financial problem coming up.
I started a trend of standing. Yes, he did say that we're levy imminent. I'm not suggesting that that's the route we take, but that's what he said. And you can go on YouTube and watch it. This isn't something we're just making up. He said it, those were his facts. Matter of fact, he has it down to almost the day that we, in his mind, we would become levy imminent. Our revenue is staying constant, but our expenses are going up too. Basic math would tell you that. So that leaves us with three options only. One of them is ugly, one of them is unpopular, and one of them is very difficult. The difficult one is finding new recurring revenue streams. We can't lease our property to a Starbucks, right? So that's really difficult. The second one being ugly, that's cutting staff. And the third one being unpopular, that is a levy. Those are our three options only.
I agree with Mr. Audino in terms of going back and looking at the last board meeting and reviewing that video footage. Dr. Thompson does a really nice job explaining school funding and where we started and how we got to where we are today. Not necessarily any different than any other school district in the state of Ohio. The other thing that I would like to mention is that I think it's important, going back to educating our community about the difference between bond levy money and operating levy money. Those are two different funds, two different pots of money. Bond levy money supports buildings, infrastructure. Operating levies support staff, students, etc. So when we talk about bond levy money, the PI potentially funding buildings might be there. But when we talk about operating money and looking at a 5-year forecast, that's a different story. That is where Dr. Thompson is talking about being tax levy imminent.
Well, I'm running because I'm a small business owner and I've had to roll my sleeves up when budgets are tight and things have to happen in order to grow. And that's something we can do in this district. I think there's things that have been sitting on the wayside for too long. I've sat on the sidelines and watched it happen. We've let our buildings go to disarray and have done nothing to improve them. I also know that we got rid of Hale Road, I had my kids there, both my daughters. We dropped $1 million removing all the asbestos out of the building, and then we practically gave it away. So that was viable space for kids. Same thing with the Haddon School over on next to Hell Regals. Those were classrooms that we could have used. And again, we haven't managed what we have very well, and that's why I want to jump in here and prevent us from having to pay for more levies because of mismanagement.
Thank you, Josh. So, as Katie said, two different funds. PI fund, very healthy. Mr. Keeney said we get about 2.7. It's actually getting close to $2.8 million a year. We invest the money, so we get a little bit more, between 2.9 and 3 million. The project that we're doing, the Buckeye Melridge project, we're going to be borrowing about $12.5 million. That's going to be an $825,000 a year payment. So when you take that 2.9 less the 800, approximately $2.1 million left every year in the PI fund to do the other things we need to do. As far as an operating levy goes, when we have to go, which every school district in the state has to go for operating levies, we will be about 11 years out. We have managed our money very well. Most school districts have to go in 4 or 5 year cycles. We're going to be at an 11-year cycle. So we've done very well with the money.
Okay, this next question, I'm going to have everybody answer it, but in a different order. In light of the fact that there is a proposal and ballot initiative about eliminating property taxes, this question is, what will your plans for funding be when property taxes are eliminated or severely reduced? So if everybody could make a comment on that. I'm going to start with Mr. Odino and move it this way, then come back and go this way.
I drew the short stick on that one. Okay. I'll say this, that is such, and no offense to the person who asked the question, that is such a broad hypothetical. There are so many factors that will go into play if and when that ever happens. Obviously, the state has to face the fact that public schools are highly dependent on property tax. So I can't just stand here and tell you that we have a plan for what that would be, because like I said, that is a very broad hypothetical, and I'd be impressed if anyone here had a plan, honestly, that was that specific. But I would say that it certainly is going to raise a lot of problems for us, and we're going to have to get pretty creative.
I'm not sure how many people are aware, but the Ohio Supreme Court's actually found the taxing system, property tax system, as it pertains to school funding, to be unconstitutional, not once but twice. The Ohio legislature for decades has refused to do anything about this, okay? I think it's very unlikely that property taxes will be eliminated. If they do, the state legislature would be foolish not to provide some other means of funding schools. What would that look like? I don't know. That's going to be up to the Ohio legislature. It may look like families pay to play, so to speak. We have families that send their kids to private and parochial schools. They pay for that, okay? And those schools are largely independent. Another thing most people don't know is that despite the monies that you pay to the auditor that go for property taxes, a good portion of the money that's supposed to stay in this district doesn't stay here. It goes to more poorer schools in Appalachia, down near Athens, Ohio and such, because they don't have a tax base. So those are problems that are not related to what the board can deal with.
Good, I agree with Joe on this. It's a big hypothetical. So two ways to fund, to replace the funding via property tax, which would be an income tax or sales tax. This would be a problem not for just the school board. This would be a problem for every township in Ohio. Property taxes don't just fund schools, school districts. It also funds police and fire. So I find it very, I don't think there's anyone in here that has a plan to fund it outside of what the state would recommend or do.
Well, what happens in Columbus affects all of us. We have no idea what they're going to do or when they're going to do it, but we aren't the only school district that's going to be affected. Everybody's going to be affected. So just hold on to your hats, and we'll have to deal with whatever it is when the time comes, and we will.
So I've got a couple of things here. We have got to be the largest advocates for property tax reform. That is important. We take 50% of people's property tax dollars, and I believe we need to take a front row seat to that and encourage people to make their voices heard in Columbus. I also feel that our state foundation payments for school districts need to be increased when vouchers are taking dollars away from school districts, and we get 30% of the dollars to educate 80% of the students in the state of Ohio. That is wrong, and I believe we need to do a bigger job to be advocates for that. We also need to join Vouchers for Ohio. We've tried to do that, but that has been dismissed at our board. We also need to be thinking about income taxes. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be the first one out there to provide income taxes to people. However, I just do believe that it is important to consider proper income taxes to address property tax inequities for people who need property tax relief.
I really don't have much else to add to what everybody else has said in terms of public schools will be decimated if property taxes go away without a plan. I would assume the state would have to have a plan in place in order to fund public education in the event that property taxes would be eliminated. So at this point, I don't have any suggestions or ideas on how to combat that.
Yeah, I agree. There's, we're going to have to wait and see when the dust settles to figure out how we can navigate our district through a tough time, because I think every school district in the state is going to have that challenge. So it's a matter of just being creative, waiting until we see what happens at the state board, at the state level with the property taxes. That's in agreement with everybody.
Thank you, Josh. So our job as school board members and as a school board as a whole is to take the monies that the state gives us and do the best job we can with that. My belief is that public education is very important and it will always be funded.
Okay, for this question, I'm going to have Mr. Fischel, and we'll go back this way. What is your stance on transgender students using the bathrooms of their choice and participating in sports, i.e. boys who identify as a girl playing a girl sport?
Thank you. That's been decided, and it doesn't matter what I think. And the state has a law, and we have to follow the law.
Agreed.
Same here. There is already, just like religious freedom, there is already a law in place until legislation should change or things would change at the state level. We are obligated to comply with the laws set forth.
Man, we're getting along already, aren't we? Honestly, I would agree, but I'm also going to put an asterisk on that. This is a great example of a question to show that the school board is here to execute the law that's already there. This is not something for us to litigate at the board level. We're going to follow the law and do what the state tells us to do in that example.
I'm not just only going to say that I'm going to follow the law, which I'm going to do. I'll say this. As a soldier in the Army, I wore a uniform, as did some of you people here in this room. We defended everyone, okay? We didn't just defend the people we liked or the people we agreed with. We defended all Americans, okay? So to that end, if we have a transgender student, okay, I'm going to defend that child from being bullied or harassed, okay? Again, following the law, okay? I personally don't agree that boys should play on girls' teams, but again, the law is the law, so I'm going to follow it, okay? But that being said, as school board members, we're there to advocate for all the children, and our mission is to provide an education from K through 12 where they can all succeed as adults, okay? Whatever caused that child to be the way they are or not is not the school board's dilemma to deal with, as long as we protect their rights under the law and provide them an education. Thank you.
I don't have anything to add. Everyone has stated the right opinion in my opinion.
No further comment.
Okay, it's getting towards 8 o'clock, so I think we'll start winding down on the questions, maybe 2 more. What will you do to improve morale of the staff, community, in light of recent unpopular board decisions? Start with you.
First, I think it's very important to understand where staff are coming from and where they're feeling burdened right now. I also believe it comes in with support and collaboration, and so I think changing the tone of the school board in the direction that it's currently headed, and understanding that there needs to be a collaborative nature, that we are going to have to agree to disagree sometimes. Like I said earlier, I do truly believe in a well-rounded school board where we bring different opinions and different suggestions, but that also means that we have to all be willing to listen to those and understand that each of us are bringing a different perspective and not just negate what one person's saying because they may differ from you. And so I think, that's one way we can start to try to mend the bridge that's currently taking place on the board. I also think re-engaging our families.
Thank you. I believe it's a team effort, and I think supporting everybody and coming together, there's hard decisions that have to be made, and I think being creative and supportive of one another is essential as a board to relay that to the teachers, and it then comes down and equates to the students. They feel that everybody's on the same page, and I feel that's what we need to be doing, is looking out ultimately to help and assist the teachers, but really it's all about what we can do best to suit the needs of the students.
Thank you, Josh. So what I believe is that teachers are getting burned out. And I want to make Riverside a great environment where teachers want to come there and work. Studies have shown after 5 years, teachers are burned out. They're talking about leaving the profession. Fewer and fewer teachers are coming into the profession. Why is that? So many regulations and requirements on teachers that are unfair. 4 years ago when I got elected, I stated that immediately. Okay, it's been ignored, okay, but I'm going to work towards fixing that. I want to make Riverside the gold standard. And I want to make Riverside a place where people want to come, teachers want to come there to teach. Why? Because they'll be allowed to teach again instead of, I think Josh mentioned before, teaching to a test, okay, and all these other requirements that they're not really educated to do.
This past Saturday, I hosted a teacher listening session. I also hosted a public and parent-teacher listening session the second half of the day. But at that meeting, there were over a dozen teachers who showed up, one of whom has been in the district for 30 years. She's retiring at the end of this year. And she told me that, this is no offense to anyone on the board now, this was the first time that a candidate or a city board member ever hosted a session specifically for teachers and teachers alone. It was open to the whole staff, not just teachers, custodians, secretary, anyone. In that conversation, we had a long discussion around what they want. I did all the listening. I wasn't there for them to ask me questions. I mean, they could, of course, but I was there to hear what they had to say. I think it's important to engage our teachers and make them feel like valued parts of our faculty. They matter. They're putting in a lot of hours. They're working way beyond their shifts. They're working in the summer. They don't get 3 months off. Take it from my wife. She's a school teacher. And I assure you that all they want to hear is that they're being heard and that they feel relevant, not just when they're standing in front of their students.
What would I do to improve morale? First and foremost, the board members have to act like board members, like a team, okay? When people come in and want to bash the teachers over test scores or whatever, they need to realize that it's not the teachers alone that are responsible for producing the students. It's the families, okay? I'm here to tell you, if you're a parent and you are not pushing your child, or your child is not engaged in the educational process, he's going to fail. And you can't blame that on the teachers, okay? Right here, I've got letters from Dave Joyce, nominating my sons to go to West Point, from Frank LaRose, okay? From other congressmen and senators, okay? As well as letters from West Point telling me my kids, they want my kids to come to West Point. One decided not to, one's in basic training, he's going next year. My point is this, I'm not bragging about my kids, I'm telling you that every student any student could matriculate to any university on this planet from Riverside, okay? You gotta put the work into it. The teachers are doing a great job. They are working their butts off. Thank you.
I think it starts with addressing the survey that teachers took earlier this year. If the board can't address those issues when it's brought to them, how are they going to feel like they're being heard? Lori Kraninsky tried to create a committee last board meeting. That was too much to vote on, apparently, for some people. All that was to start conversations about hearing our teachers. My wife is a teacher in this district. We need to listen to them. They are the foundation of the school. They are seeing your kids probably as much, if not more, than a lot of parents, especially those that work. Listen to your teachers.
We employ a lot of teachers and a lot of staff, and they're all important to the success of the school district. It's good to hear from people on their concerns. A lot of times that should go through the proper channels. The board is always welcoming to hear what's on their mind if it's brought to us in a good manner. Sometimes when we have to make decisions, we can't take the time, we don't have the luxury of the time to go through a lot of paralysis of analysis. Decisions need to be made and things need to be done. So thank you.
I think the most important thing we have in our district is people. They are 80% of our budget. What we do relies on what they do in classrooms, on buses, in kitchens and cafeterias, on playgrounds, in intervention classrooms. I want to hear from all of them. I want to hear what that bus driver has to say about the clothes that a student wears when they get on the bus. Do they have a coat? Do they not have a coat? I want to hear that in their own words to me personally. I want to hear the problems that teachers have in their classroom with discipline or with students who are not being challenged or who are not being accountable. I want to hear those things. And sometimes we have had those conversations, but they go through intermediaries, through our administration, and I'm not knocking the process, but we've never been asked to make a change in the process, and I think the time for that change is now.
Okay, I just remembered that I forgot to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to end the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would rise right now, we're going to end here. The flag is up here.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I think we had a very good discussion here, very simple. And I think, go ahead.
Paul Pelagi was hoping to be here today. He's the director of Lake Metro Parks, but he had a family issue come up. So he asked me to just tell you briefly, Lake Metro Parks has a renewal on the ballot this fall of an existing 1.9 mill levy. This is not a tax increase. The current tax costs property taxpayers $35 for every $100,000 worth of property, and the levy only makes up 45% of the park's annual revenue. So that's it. I'll turn it back to Jim.
Okay, so I think we had a good discussion, as I was saying, and I want you to all have a good night.